My name is Simon Cutler. I'm a born and bred Taunton man, run a small business here, and first-hand experience of using St Margaret's Hospice for my dad's care and a very close friend a few years ago. Yeah, so sadly one of my really close friends who died 2 years ago, spring 22, with cancer. He did spend end of life at St Margaret's. So again, his health became to the situation where his family couldn't look after him any longer. He really needed high level care, and St Margaret's Hospice was his place. I knew a little bit, being a Taunton man and having grown up in Bishop's Hull, not far away from where the hospice is, and I'd raised some funds for it 20 odd years ago. So I knew a little bit, but no first-hand experience of what the care was until Dad had to go in back in early 2017. So it was kind of, a little bit of knowledge, but not a great deal. Well, my perception prior to Dad going in was that it was pretty much end-of-life care only. So to see that it was respite care as well as a provision of service was a bit of an eye-opener and really helpful, because actually Dad only went in for a few weeks, and the respite care that he received and the juggling of his medications actually improved his quality of life towards the end, and he was actually allowed back home. Sadly, he didn't survive much longer after returning home, but the respite care and the improvement in his health in that window was amazing, and actually a surprise too, because I'd always historically just thought it was purely end of life. So his dad was obviously under triage with the oncologist at Musgrove, his GP, and micro care providers. And in all fairness, the communication lines between those three wasn't always that strong, and it wasn't consistent. And there were too many people involved, I think. And when it was moved into the hospice, it suddenly became more focused, more individual care, and he was quickly reduced from certain meds he was taking. It took him right back out of certain high levels of medication to make him much better. So I think it was the NHS does a great job, as stretched as it is, but the number of different areas of help that was being provided didn't always quite join up, whereas it did in the hospice really quickly. It was obviously very tough, but actually the service and the care that he had at the hospice was amazing. So it made his life, end of life, much easier than it may have otherwise been, I can only say thanks to them. They seem to really care and they deliver a great job, and I know all care staff do that, but they just seem to really enjoy what they do. I always sense they were happy in their work. So to me, if they're happy, then the people they're looking after are aware of that and happy too. I don't know, Dad was much happier there than he was anywhere else, And that's from a guy who was really quite stubborn in his life. He was determined to stay at home. He didn't want to go anywhere else. But actually, when he went into St Margaret's, after a day, he felt quite comfortable there, which probably wasn't the easiest thing for him. They were great. You saw the same people most of the time. They knew the needs of the individual. They knew what Dad needed and or what Simon needed, and they just felt very caring. I always noticed the atmosphere there was always very professional, but quite relaxed at the same time. It was peaceful. It was smoothly run. Everybody knew what was going on, and that was what you noticed was a major difference sometimes to perhaps when people were in the hospital at Musgrove. The continuity was much clearer, and the level of care maybe was easier to be delivered because the people knew who they were looking after, and so it was reassuring.